Welcome to the West Wing Week, your guide to everything that's happening at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. This week, the president wrapped up an 8-day tour demonstrating American leadership and opening up economic opportunities for America in the Asia-Pacific region. Upon his return, he signed legislation to help our veterans find jobs, traveled to New Hampshire to urge Congress to cut payroll taxes for workers and small businesses, and pardoned 2 turkeys. That's November 18th to November 24th, or Your Best You.
You don't need to try to be something you're not. You just have to be your best you.
Our West Wing Week begins with the president in Indonesia as the first U.S. president to attend the East Asia Summit.
Selamat malam.
It's day 6 and stop 3 of an 8-day Asia-Pacific tour. The first stop was in Hawaii, where the president announced the broad outlines of an agreement with the members of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, held bilateral meetings with the leaders of Japan, Russia, China, and Canada, and hosted the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit, welcoming leaders of its 21 member nations representing more than 3 billion people.
And since this is the world's fastest growing region, the Asia-Pacific is key to achieving my goal of doubling U.S. exports, a goal, by the way, which we are on track right now to meet. We're here for business. We're here to create jobs. We're here to promote exports. And we've got a set of tangible, concrete steps that have been taken that are going to make our economy stronger.
Next stop, Australia, for a state visit where he and Prime Minister Julia Gillard announced the deepening of the 60-year-old U.S.-Australian alliance, expanding the bilateral military cooperation that plays such a critical role in the security of the entire Asia-Pacific region. Then it was on to the ASEAN Summit and the East Asia Summit, and the beginning of our West Wing Week. The first order of business in Indonesia was to make history. The president announced the largest ever U.S.-Indonesian commercial contract for Indonesia's Lion Air to purchase up to 230 planes from Boeing. The $20 billion contract will support more than 100,000 good-paying American jobs.
This represents the largest deal, if I'm not mistaken, that Boeing has ever done. This is an example of a win-win situation where the people of the region are going to be able to benefit from an outstanding airlines, and our workers back home are going to be able to have job security and be able to produce an outstanding product made in America.
And with that, the president kicked into conference gear, holding bilateral meetings with the leaders of India, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Indonesia, and announcing the U.S. would reopen diplomatic efforts and encourage reform in Burma.
So today I've asked Secretary Hillary Clinton to go to Burma. She will be the first American Secretary of State to travel to the country in over half a century.
After wrapping up a second day of meetings, this time with Premier Wen of China and with the newly elected Prime Minister of Thailand, the President and Secretary Clinton suited up for a day of ASEAN meetings. The President then began to retrace his steps and make his way east, a 25-hour trip that had brought him back in time across the international date line and 13 time zones, and once again, home. The President kicked off Thanksgiving week back home with a historic bill signing of the Veterans Employment Transition Act, a bill that helps put veterans back to work by providing businesses tax credits when they hire unemployed veterans and wounded warriors.
Today, because Democrats and Republicans came together, I'm proud to sign those proposals into law. And I urge every business owner out there who's hiring to hire a vet right away.
That night, the White House hosted music legends and contemporary artists in the East Room for a celebration of country music as part of the In Performance at the White House series. On Tuesday, the president traveled to Manchester, New Hampshire, where he stopped in a cozy, casual local favorite, Julian's Corner, to talk with a New Hampshire family who would benefit from his plan to cut payroll taxes for workers and small business before giving a speech at Manchester Central High School.
The Republicans in the Senate voted no on my jobs bill and those tax cuts, but in the spirit of Thanksgiving, we are going to give them another chance. If they vote no again, the typical family's taxes will go up $1,000 next year. If they vote yes, the typical working family will get a $1,500 tax cut. Which way do you think Congress should vote? It's pretty simple. And we set up a straightforward tax calculator on whitehouse.gov. That's our website. So you can see what each vote would mean for your bottom line.
When he returned to the White House, the president met up with the fall class of White House interns, a quarterly ritual where the president hears from and speaks to the youngest members of his administration. On Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, the president participated in the annual White House tradition of pardoning the national turkey.
Some of you may know that recently I've been taking a series of executive actions that don't require congressional approval. Well, here's another one. We can't wait to pardon these turkeys.
Then, with Thanksgiving Eve descending on the Capitol, the first family participated in a community service project at an area food bank. To find out more information on any of these topics or to see complete videos of these events, go to whitehouse.gov. And thanks again for checking out your West Wing Week.
I am thrilled to be here today alongside the Vice President and my favorite person here, Jill Biden. You too, honey.